This is Texans TV. Texans Extra Points is sponsored by BHP and by Reliant, the official energy provider of the Houston Texans, and by your Houston area Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.
We are ready to rock at NRG Stadium. Watt gets him down this time. JJ with the sack. Rock and roll. Touchdown. Deshaun Watson.
Hello, my friends, and welcome into Texans Extra Points. My name is Drew Dougherty. I'm your host. We're very happy that you're with us today, and I'm very happy that Sean Pendergast of Sports Radio 610 is joining us. You can also hear him on the Texans pre- and post-game shows, and he writes for the Houston Press. Sean, you doing all right? We're going to solve a few problems today?
We're going to solve. There's a lot to solve out there, Drew. I'm looking forward to it. Happy holidays to you and your family.
Merry Christmas to you as well. And let's start with some news of the week. It's the Red Diamond Iced Tea Quick Hits. And we begin with a little bit of good news. It's been a rough season for the Texans, no doubt about that. But a pair of Texans are headed to the Pro Bowl. I should correct myself. They're not headed to the Pro Bowl. They were selected for the Pro Bowl because there will be no game played this year due to COVID-19. Nonetheless, Deshaun Watson and Laramie Tunsil are your 2020 Pro Bowlers for the Texans.
You know, it's a big accomplishment, especially, the 3 consecutive years is really dope. And then, of course, my rookie year, I got hurt. That could have been 4th, but it's pretty cool. So, just going to keep stacking them up and, going with my career and, keep adding them.
Texans got a bit of a scare on Sunday with right tackle Titus Howard. Had to leave the game with a concussion. He actually spent the night in Indianapolis as a precaution, and he's back in Houston now.
Because of the severity, and that he had to stay overnight in Indy. And that's an indication to me that it might take longer than a week.
So with 2 games remaining, the last 2 are at home. And first on the docket is the Cincinnati Bengals, fresh off a Monday Night Football victory over the Steelers. They waxed Pittsburgh, and the Texans describe what they'll see in Cincinnati.
To get a win against a team like that, it was very good for them, and they're playing tough football. They played a great game, and so we're looking forward to an opportunity and a challenge.
That's a little bit of news from the week that was. We turn now to Sean Pendergast, and let's talk about Deshaun Watson, going back to the Pro Bowl or selected for another Pro Bowl, but protection for number 4. How paramount is that this week, next week, and then moving forward into the future?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's huge. These last 2 games, that's been a big talking point after that. The loss to the Bears, you don't want a situation like Deshaun's rookie year where he's spending the entire offseason rehabbing a knee injury when you have a new coach, a new play caller, presumably coming in with a different playbook. It's always important to protect Deshaun, but it's paramount in these last couple games of the year that they do it heading into 2021.
Now, if someone parachuted in and not seen any Texans games at all this year, if they saw this conversation between you and me, they might think, oh, well, something must have gone wrong with Deshaun Watson in the offense. He must have had a bad season. It's remarkable that the Texans as a team didn't do as well when Watson played so splendidly, isn't it?
It's incredible, Drew. I mean, it's about as big a statistical anomaly as you could think of. Not just Deshaun Watson, but I'll throw J.J. Watt in there as well. If you had given Texan fans, guys like us that cover the team, one reasonable wish heading into 2020, I would have said, hey, just keep Deshaun healthy on the offensive side of the ball and keep J.J. healthy on the defensive side of the ball, and good things are going to happen. This team will be better than they were last year. Those 2 things have happened, and both have played at a fairly high level. Deshaun at an exceedingly high level, and the team is 4-10 right now. I mean, I don't know. With the way Deshaun has played this year, you almost have to try to go out and be 4-10 with the way he's played this year. So it's a remarkable statistical anomaly. It is the one thing that gives me one of a few things that give me optimism heading into next year. And I think Deshaun is going to take this whole season away as a huge learning experience for him. And it ultimately, when this team does turn things around in the next couple of years, and they get to, as a team, the level that Deshaun has been playing at, that Deshaun's going to look back at 2020 and cite what a big learning experience this was for him, having gone through the trials and tribulations he's gone through this year.
Now, Deshaun Watson aside, what are some reasons for optimism for the future with this Texans bunch on the offensive side of the ball?
I think the offensive line, I'll circle back to that. They've invested a lot in that offensive line, and it's certainly underperformed to the pedigree that it has. A couple of first-round picks, a couple of second-round picks, the big investment in Laramie Tunsil. The optimism of the newness that I anticipate at the running back position, I think that's one position group that we might see all new faces at the running back position next season. Really interested to see what the philosophy is of a new general manager as to how they stock that position. Do they use their upper level draft equity, which for them is third and fourth round picks this year, not first and second round picks? Those are logical rounds to actually take running backs in. Do they view it as that big a need that they use those picks on it, or do they fish into the free agency market? But just some of the stuff that's staying, very optimistic about, and then the newness is some of the stuff that could come in next year.
You didn't mention Kahale Warring. He could also be on that list of something to be happy about. And our John Harris breaks down some of what he did last week against the Colts. Check out the Telestrator.
Welcome to Texans Illustrated, presented by BMW. I am your host, John Harris. And we're going to get to the Surface, presented by Microsoft, here in just a second, and take a look at number 81. Let's go back to the beginning of this play here, get it set up. There we go. See Kahale Warring right here, right there. And that's a guy over the next couple of games would really like to see a lot from. He had 2 big catches against the Colts. One went for a first down earlier in the game. And this is the one that came in the fourth quarter on the drive in which the Texans scored to tie the game at 20. And this is what I love about having a tight end that runs this route. Now, we've seen these 3 receivers right here, right there, Cooks, QT, and Chad Hansen, all run a version of the route that Kahale's going to run. Kahale's going to work over here and get to that spot. Now, with a tight end, that's not the easiest route in the world to get a guy that can get all the way across the formation like that. That's tough. But Warring is a guy with 4 or 5 speed. He can get over there. Now, he's not as fast as any of these 3, but the fact that you can line up a tight end here and force the Colts into some sort of personnel matching, that's what you'd like to be able to do. Now, because Kahale hasn't played a ton, kind of gets locked up here with Cooks. And so what they're going to do, they're going to match up man here, the Colts are. So they're going to go man here, and the Texans are going to try and get one of Warring on the over, Brandon on the shallow cross. Somebody they're going to try and get open. So they're going to run these 2 guys out of here and get them out and kind of create this space all on this side of the field over here where this box is. So run these guys out of here, and you got room to work. Now, off the snap, you see Kahale and Brandon, the timing's kind of off a little bit. Brandon's got to slow down, but he's able to get to his route, so it's not too bad. Now, the other reason why this is big with Kahale running this route as opposed to maybe the other tight ends, he's the fastest one in that group. Deshaun's got to get rid of this ball. He's getting pressure right here from Autry right away. So he's like, I got to get rid of this ball. His drop actually is probably a little deeper because he knows, man, I got to get Warring over here. But as Deshaun is looking in this direction, he sees him running off. I think that's Chad running off the corner, and he knows, man, there's going to be a spot right there. I just got to hang in there, and then Kahale, you can see him running into that open area. Catches that pass, and away you go. Now, if Deshaun had more time, he would tell you this should be a touchdown. He knows that's Kahale running into open space. He probably puts this ball a little bit over here. Kahale's got to step on the defensive back, and away he goes. But because he got some pressure, he's got to just put it on him. Kahale goes up and makes a big catch for 23 yards and a first down. And you can see it from this direction here. Here's Kahale, here's Brandon right there. And so what you're going to get, you'll see them kind of run into each other a little bit, like, all right. Now Kahale's taking off, and it doesn't slow Brandon down too much. Deshaun throws it out there. Kahale goes up and get it, snatch it, get a big first down against the Colts. 81 is going to play a significant role in the passing game these next couple of games. And hopefully what that means is that he performs well and is able to take that on into 2021 and 2022. Those are the kind of plays that we've seen Jordan Akins make, and now we're seeing 81 make them too. If you get 2 tight ends doing that, what a lot of receivers have to do, it's going to end up being a good thing for Deshaun Watson and this offense for the last 2 games and on to the future.
gets the snap, throws it. It's intercepted. Watt takes it across the 15, 10, 5. Rock and roll. Touchdown, Texans. Pick 6.
Well, it's different circumstances this time, but could another huge play be coming in Texans history against the Bengals? It seems like 8 of the top 10 in the franchise's history have gone against them, and that, I think, is the best. J.J. Watt, pick 6 when he was a rookie. First playoff game in franchise history. I'm still stunned he was able to catch it and scoot into the end zone. Are you Sean Pendergast?
Nothing JJ does surprises me. He still has that club in his bag. The Detroit game, it was almost like a mirror image of that one from the other side of the defensive line. So that was JJ's coming out party for sure back in 2011, that postseason, that whole postseason, that game and the Baltimore game the next week for sure.
No doubt. He's played well this season. It hasn't been a 2014 or through 2012, but those were kind of once in a million type seasons. However, Watt has been excellent and somebody you can count on. What have you seen from number 99 in a very trying year for him personally?
Yeah, I think that honestly, the biggest thing has just been having to watch him go through these press conferences, if you want to know the truth. The play doesn't surprise me. Like, JJ is still very, very disruptive at times. He's still getting his hands in the passing lanes. He still has those performances, stocked away. He still has. It was really cool to see that sequence of 3 games in a row where he had the 4 TFLs and the 4 passes defended, the pick 6 sandwiched in between in that Detroit game. So those clubs are still in his bag. I think my biggest takeaway with J.J. Watt was just how disheartening it's been watching him have to go through this season, the way it's unfolded for the team at age 31, and having come back from the series of injuries that he's had. I've just got so much respect for J.J. Watt and his journey and what he's been through these last few years. He deserves better, and I'm hoping that, with the new head coach and a new general manager and a new outlook and new hope next year, that J.J. can be a part of what I know he wants to be a part of, which is something really special here in Houston.
Okay, let's do what we did in the last segment. Let's look at some reasons for optimism defensively. What's got you kind of happy or hopeful about what this defense could be in the future for the Texans? Because it's been a tough year, but there are still a few bright spots here and there, right?
Yeah, there are. I mean, JJ is obviously one of them, but if we're talking about the future, there need to be things beyond just JJ Watt. I think it's probably a couple of things, Drew. I would say overall just the improvement of the unit in the second half of the year. Now, the schedule's eased up a little bit. That helps. But the unit has become much more consistent, and they've become much more consistent if they could ever just get the first drives under control. In the last 8 games, they've given up a touchdown in 7 of those games on the opposing team's opening drive. If they could ever, on both sides of the ball, really, offense and defense, come out on the opening drives and perform better, who knows? This team might be, 7-7 instead of 4-10 right now. So I think just the overall performance of the unit in the second half of the season. Look, you look at the guys who are going to have to be the foundational pieces of this defense moving forward that are here in the building right now. I think a lot of those pieces are probably not in the building right now. Zach Cunningham's played better the second half of the year. His tackling has become more consistent. I thought Justin Reed was starting to look like the Justin Reed of the last couple years before he suffered the hand injury in the Chicago game. And even though he's been suspended for the latter part of the year, I still think Bradley Roby is a very, very good bargain may be a little bit strong of a word, but considering some of the contracts on the team right now, I feel like Roby's is one of the better deals on this team in terms of what he provides. So those are some of the things. And then the younger players, I'd love to see more of Ross Blacklock and Jonathan Grenard in these last couple games of the season and see them do some things that give us optimism heading into next year.
All right. Don't answer this one, Sean, because I know you know it. But we got some Texans trivia. We'll have the answer later on. 5 quarterbacks in franchise history have started a game and beaten the Bengals. Can you name 2 of them? We'll have all 5 later on. Stick with us. This is Texans Extra Points.
On 3rd and 15, Deshaun gets the snap. A little time here. Now pocket collapsing. Watson scrambling forward. Watson avoids a defender. Running to the right. The 40. Watson 35-30. Watson 25-20. Right sideline. 15-10. Cutting inside. Rock and roll. Deshaun Watson. Touchdown, Houston.
Can you believe the last time the Texans and Bengals linked up, it was Deshaun Watson's rookie season of 2017 when he had that touchdown run? That was a night. It was his birthday. He wore sunglasses and a tuxedo to the game, and then he peeled off that one en route to I guess some would call it an upset victory on Thursday night, but he ran 5 times for 67 yards. It's all part of the AWS Next Gen Stats, and Sean Pendergast joins us. Let's talk about Cincinnati's quarterback situation. What did you see there on Monday night when they slaughtered the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Well, I saw a team that was kind of managing around its quarterback situation. No disrespect to Ryan Finley, but I think he only threw the ball 13 times the whole game. He ran the ball a bunch in that game. So I saw a team that was kind of trying to manage its way through a victory against what, for most of the season, has been a pretty fearsome defense. But the Steelers have been running out of some steam here lately. The Steelers started the year 11-0, and they might finish 11-5. They've got 2 tough games down the stretch. But as far as the Bengals go, look, I saw a team that had some spunk to it. I saw a team that, look, that was kind of a classic game where you throw the records out because those 2 teams face each other every year. They faced each other in important games before. And I think that, the Bengals are at that stage where they're a young team. And these wins, there are things that they can, as a young team, take away from wins, especially like last one, and certainly one to go on the road the following week, only 6 days later on a short week, and go beat one of the best quarterbacks in football will be another thing that they can kind of bank away, even though they're going to finish the season probably 4-11-1 or 3-12-1. These are all experiences, and when you have a young team like this playing without their franchise young quarterback in Joe Burrow, these are all things that this team's going to benefit from down the road, no question.
All right, I called it a slaughter. That was probably a poor choice. It just felt like a slaughter because of what we'd seen from the Steelers, like you mentioned earlier in the year. It was closer than a quote-unquote slaughter. But let's get into our Gatorade players to watch. Which Texan are you keeping your eyes extra focused on this Sunday against Cincinnati?
For me, Drew, it's Keke QT. And I might even be saying that even if he hadn't had the fumble down near the goal line last week. But I feel like this is maybe the first time in Keke's career where he's made a few mistakes like this, where he's going to continue to get chances. When that happened before with Bill O'Brien, Keke would get stapled to the bench or the inactive sheet if he made mistakes like this. Look, Romeo Crennel said it this week in one of his Zoom calls. He said, look, Keke's got to pick himself up off the mat because we need him this week, and they do. We know the depth issues that this team has at wide receiver. This is a defense, the Bengals, that does not defend downfield plays very well. And I know Keke is viewed as more of a guy who works the middle of the field, but we saw in, I believe it was the first Colts game where he got down the field for that 64-yarder. And, Keke's a guy who can make plays down the seam for this team, I think. And I think just seeing how he bounces back. There's a lot of guys on this roster, Drew, that these last couple games are more film that they're putting down for the next head coach and GM to say, we can be a part of this team in 2021. And Keke and Chad Hansen and guys like that are guys that you're going to need at their salary levels. You're going to need guys like that with some of these other salaries escalating in 2021. So
yeah, I like that choice as well. I think he does bounce back, and I'm glad he'll get that chance on Sunday. I'm going to go defensively. So do the fans. They logged in on Twitter, or sounded off on Twitter. Fans are going with Zach Cunningham, the linebacker. I think that's a good one. How about Charles Omenihu? Had the sack last week. He is like one of those guys you're talking about, trying to put more on tape, trying to kind of progress and keep doing great things because he has had a solid second half of this season. So we'll see Chuck from UT this Sunday against Cincinnati. All right, don't you move a muscle. We'll be right back with keys to a victory after this quick break.
Texans Extra Points has been sponsored by BHP and by Reliant, the official energy provider of the Houston Texans, by Emigi Bank, official business bank of the Houston Texans, and by Jameson. Tailgate like a Texan with Jameson Irish Whiskey.
So very happy that you're back with us on Texans Extra Points. Earlier, Texans Trivia, we asked you which 5 Houston Texans quarterbacks started a game in which the Texans beat the Bengals. You got Matt Schaub, TJ Yates, Brian Hoyer, Tom Savage, and of course Deshaun Watson. You wouldn't be surprised to know that Sean Pendergast peeled all those off in the break off camera. He did a good job, and that's one of the many reasons why we've got him here today. Plus, we got to get your keys to a victory, the FCCU keys to a Texans win. Sean, how do they unlock a W?
Yeah, I would say my keys, Drew, first turnovers, and these are 2 teams that are not very good at getting the other team to turn the ball over, at forcing turnovers. The Texans have not forced a turnover since the early in the second quarter against the Detroit Lions, all the way back on Thanksgiving. That's almost 4 full NFL games without a turnover. I think they're still stuck on 8 for the season. Bengals have only turned the opposition over 12 times. I think if one of these teams gets a turnover or two, it's safe to assume those might be the only turnovers.
Yeah.
So I think winning the turnover battle, even if it's just winning it 1-0, I think can make a big deal. And then I think preventing the big play. Look, if Ryan Finley is going to be the quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals, make him have to go 10 or 11 or 12 plays to go get points down the field. Because I think if they do that, the Texans are going to be real successful defensively. Do not give up plays where you're letting T. Higgins or A.J. Green, Tyler Boyd, if he's out of the concussion protocol. Do not let them get big chunk plays on you to make it easier on Ryan Finley.
Those are good ones. And playing off Finley, he kind of plays into that run game. We saw him do some nice things on the ground with the ball. Just bend, don't break in the run game. And I think the Texans can do a lot of good things if that happens. And then my big one is let's start better. Let's get a 3 and out, or let's make them punt on when you're on defense on that first drive. Don't give up a score. And then conversely, we're going on about a 2-year drought here where the Texans have scored on that first drive, scored a touchdown maybe once, twice, if not 3 times, that's all. So you got to get better there. Let's start quicker, play from a lead, and you might get those turnovers like you're talking about. You might get to tee off on the quarterback and get some big plays. So that's what I got. That's what you had. And that's going to wrap things up today on Texans Extra Point. Sean, thank you as always for coming on. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I hope your family is doing great. Sound good?
Everybody good. Merry Christmas to you and your family and to all the Texan fans out there.
Yes, thank you, Texans fans, for checking this out. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for you. So have a good one. We'll be back again, same place, same time next week. And until then, go Texans. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to know when we post new content.